Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be talking about dark patterns, also called bad UX UI practices. Now these practices are performed by some marketeers to trap the users. These are the patterns that confuses the users. Everything we do is surrounded around the user experience. We want to provide the best user experience to our users, right? Their satisfaction is our topmost priority. But there are some brands and marketeers who perform these activities, who perform these practices just to make the user do something they don't want to do. They create a situation like that. They design in a way that a user gets trapped into these practices. Let me give you an example now. Let's suppose you have subscribed to some service, a software or an app, and you're paying them monthly. Okay, you are subscribed to their services and you have to pay them monthly. Your payment is getting deducted automatically. Now let's suppose you want to cancel their services, but you will nowhere find that cancel button. They hide that unsubscribe button or the cancel button. And if you want to cancel it, you will have to reply to that cancellation email. Sometimes even if you see that canceling button, first you will receive the mail. And there are people who do not open their mailbox. And let's suppose even if you cancel the automatic payments of UPI, still those services don't get cancelled. And you have to go to the bank and cancel it. They make it so complex for users that ultimately they get annoyed, frustrated, and they leave it as it is. That is what they want. Let me show you some images. Look at this first image. You see two download buttons here. You'll not be able to make out which one is the real one, right? So there are two buttons, free download, download now. You will instantly click on free download because that's how we go with our intuition. Okay, this is the button, but we'll take you to the affiliate link, not to the original downloading page. This one is the original downloading page. This will take you to the affiliate link or maybe to some upselling thing, right? They want to sell something else. Look at the second image. They want to collect the cookies. Okay, so if they will ask you the trick questions, do you oppose not allowing us to share your personal information with third parties? They could have gone simple, right? Like, would you allow us? But no, they're saying, do you oppose? So most of the people would click yes, because obviously everybody's in a rush and they don't want to deal with these disruptions. That is how the brand asks the users the tricky questions so that they get what they want easily, right? Then there is false hierarchy. You must have seen these. Even with the coaches today, they all do this. If they're providing the services, they'll provide you the three hierarchy of the services, like premium, advanced, basic. And most of the coaches, they all know there's very little to no value added to the premium ones or to the advanced ones. Of course, there are some coaches who do it right, and there is actual value. But with most of them, most of the fluff content, but I have observed myself as well, when I go for these services, there is little to no value. So there is also a false hierarchy like we do in the prime anchoring also. Then there is forced action. If you see this image, let me just zoom out. 7-day free trial and everything, they tell you, okay, we'll start the free trial, but they also start charging you. What if you don't like the service after 7 days? First, they should take the permission to deduct the amount. That is how the process should go, but this does not happen. In fact, okay, even if they reveal the information, they'll reveal it at the end. They'll make it little confusing. So yeah, these are the forced actions that the brand practice. Then there are hidden costs. You all know that whatever is visible, whatever cost, whatever price they ask for, there's also a hidden cost behind it, and that a lot of brands do not reveal. Then there is friend spam. We have been seeing this. Okay, this is just to invade your privacy. They'll ask you, okay, do you want to share this with your friends, give access to your contacts? That is how they collect the information. So this has been happening for the longest time now. Now, next one is you have seen this on the booking websites, insurance administration, additional charges. They'll give it at the end of the checkout page. That is also one of the practice that brands follow. Then there is again the contacts. They want to get all the contacts. Next one is confirm shaming. This you might have seen on the websites. Whenever you click on a website, a pop-up form arises, and this is what it is written there. Yes, I would like the discount. No thanks, I would like the full price. So this is also very tricky. This is also like confirm shaming. They are shaming you. And I somehow I feel that, obviously, like earlier they used to write a yes or a no, which would go plain boring. So one should not go with the plain yes or no questions. You should be little creative with your questions. But there are some brands who just do it more than required. So that's not required actually. It just looks very tricky and spammy. So confirm shaming should be done very responsibly. It's this default options. It's also one of the part of confirm shaming. It is how they trick you. If you don't support them, they would write something continue without supporting us. So they play around with the words. Mostly it's the words. It's the trick with the words they play around with, right? So default options are there. Sometimes they try to hide the main information, the actual information, and they try to disclose the information that is the most important for the user, just to trick them out. Next one is Rauch model. So what happens here is the brands will trick the user. First, they will make it very easy for the user to subscribe to their service. But when it comes to opting out, easy opt-outs, they will not allow that. They will make it equally harder. So what happens is, if you click on the cancel button, they will give you these options: contact support, that is for 40 days, then mail us. I told you in the beginning of this video, that is how they play around. A lot of people are lazy, come on, like that's the fact. And they will never opt out for these services. So they don't want you to opt out, right? So they will play around with that. So this is one model that is very, very popular. Now let's talk about the solution. Is there any solution to these practices? Yes, there is. So if your business is already into these practices, if you're already following these practices, you can make a gradual shift. You can slowly, start making changes. Of course, there are good practices also. These practices work for the short period of time, but if you want to leave an impact for the longer period, for a long-term goal, if you have a long-term goal, these things would not work. Trust me. If your product is good, if your value is worth it, you don't have to follow these spammy practices. Here and there, I agree. I totally agree that a business cannot sustain, because what happens in the businesses, they don't see what's good or bad. They see what's working for them, what is bringing them money. That is what matters for most of the businesses, right? Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. So here and there, of course, there are great practices everywhere, but you have to look for it, that you do not trick your user, because ultimately it's not going to be good for your business for the long-term goal, right? So now what you're going to do is you will be doing the A/B testing. If you're going to implement something, for example, if I talk about social proof or use humor. Humor is always welcomed, in marketing. So people love it. Like, people like to relate with that. So humor is always welcomed. You have to find a sweet spot. You have to find a balance. Try what works for your business. Do the A/B testing. It's always important in the marketing. You cannot go with the generalized rules. Okay, what works in the industry, even if that is an industry standard, you have to do the A/B testing first for your business. It might not work for your business. So if you see any strategy, implement it and see the result for some time. Use the A/B testing tools. See if your user is liking that or not, liking the change or not, right? For example, in YouTube video, whenever I make a video, I see, okay, this is the kind of content people are liking, so I'll try to make more of that. Yeah, that is how you do, no? Like, you check the click-through rate, you check the average view duration. These small key metrics are very important to see, if monitor the most important things and monitor the impact. And why am I sharing these practices with you? As a digital marketer, you work on a project, you need to have a broad vision. You work on a project as a team member. You need to be aware of these practices, unethical practices. So it becomes your responsibility as well. And another thing, if you follow these practices, either it can make or break your brand. You don't want to take those kind of risks, right? And you need to know what are the good and the bad practices. Now, if you ask me, and I know you will ask me in the comments, that what if all the brands are practicing it? Like, do they not care about their reputation? They do. Everybody is doing it. I always say marketing is not black and white. Yeah, it's gray, right? So there's a difference. There's a very thin line. There's a very thin boundary between bad and good practices. Let's first understand what is the motivation behind doing these practices. One is, of course, sales. People get incentives, for doing more and more sales, and they want more customers. So people get fooled easily. अगर लोग पागल बनना बंद हो जाएं तो ये चीज़ें नहीं होंगी, बट बन जाते हैं. आप कितना ही अवेयरनेस ले आओगे. बहुत सारे लोग यूट्यूब वीडियोस नहीं देखते हैं, बहुत सारे लोगों को ये चीज़ ही नहीं पता है डार्क पैटर्न क्या होता है. सो नंबर 1 पॉइंट इज शॉर्ट टर्म परफॉर्मेंस प्रेशर. दे वांट टू डू मोर एंड मोर सेल्स. सेकंड इज दे वांट टू कलेक्ट डेटा, यूजर डेटा. दे वांट टू फेच मोर एंड मोर डेटा. वो होता है ना, जितना मिले उतना कम when it comes to data. That is one thing they want to do. And another thing, you want to be a part of that rat race. Your competitors are doing it, they are getting the results. So you feel, you'll be lagging behind if you don't follow these practices. So these were the factors, these were the reasons why marketers follow these practices. There is a reason why a lot of good brands don't follow these practices. Number 1 reason is data, loss of data. You are invading someone's privacy. There's a loss of data, their data is under risk, so obviously users won't like it. Another reason, if you bug them a lot, they'll get frustrated and they will give you poor reviews. They will not stay. Your customer retention rate would be too poor. So you don't want that. You want to focus on customer lifetime value. So it's important for your brand reputation as well. So now what is the solution? How do we go about it? You are going to study a lot of good UX UI practices. For the easiest example, if I have to give the easiest example, give social proof on your websites. Social proof is the best kind of practice that you can follow, right? This builds the credibility in the long run. As a copywriter, I also understand that we have to follow the persuasive techniques. Sometimes we just can't do without it. But then again, like I said, you got to balance the business and the user needs. That is what is our job as a marketer. Focus on building a good product, a good service. Focus on providing the value. Build your USP. That is how things get easier for you. Focus on good marketing, branding, then you don't have to fall for these practices. Make sure you're transparent about your practices. List down everything and do not confuse them. Make sure you do not fool them around. You give them an easy opt-out option, and always focus on the long-term metrics and the long-term sustainable growth. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.